One day, my friend Lucas came running into class and breathlessly said,
"Hey, did you hear the news? A few days ago, a man in the neighborhood called the police, but he didn't say anything. So the police went to his house and found him lying in the bathroom with his head cut off and a cell phone in his hand."
"Really? If that's true, it's super scary," I said in shock.
What's scarier was that they couldn't find the head. But that night, another person saw someone dressed like a scarecrow running around holding a trident with something round stuck on it. At first, she thought it was a pumpkin or something, but now she thinks it was a human head.
Wow, that's terrifying. It's not even Halloween. Who on earth would do that?
Let's be careful now. If the killer shows up, show your ugly face. Then he'll go find another head.
Dude, how can you make jokes in situations like these?
It's no joke.
As stupid teenagers, we tried to pretend that nothing was wrong, even though we were scared. That night, while I was sleeping, I heard a crow cawing from the window. I mumbled in my sleep, annoyed. "Crow, you better shut up before I break your neck." But after a while, I heard someone whispering very softly, "Maybe you should watch your own neck." I was startled, and I looked out the window to see a man standing there. He was wearing a big hat like a scarecrow, and his face was a bizarre mask made of gunny sacks. He was cawing like a crow. I was so shocked that I screamed until my uvula popped out of my mouth, and at that moment, he opened the window and let himself in. "It's so loud, I have to slit your throat to shut you up." I threw the blanket at him, jumped out of bed, and ran out of the room faster than Usain Bolt. He tore at the blanket with his trident and chased after me. I ran and screamed until the house rattled. This quite obviously startled my father, who came running out with his gun, and I started crying and screaming, "Kill the scarecrow, Dad!" My dad went into my room with the gun up and ready, and the man jumped out of the window and ran away. The next day, as soon as I left school, I went to see Lucas, grabbed him by the collar and said, "You were kidding yesterday, right? You owe me a new blanket."
What are you talking about?
His face was a mask of total confusion. However, when I looked at Lucas's scrawny body and thin forearms, he was clearly not the man who had been swinging a huge trident single-handed last night. I was in a huge panic. Then Lucas actually had the stones to make fun of me.
You're such a baby. If a guy like that breaks into your house, you just poke him in the eye with your finger, kick him in the balls, and hit him between the eyes 3 times in a row, and it's over. If I were you, he would be lying in the operating room by now. Pity.
Lucas was punching the air in his imagined fervor, but I couldn't say anything. A few days after that, Lucas didn't show up for school. Then I heard something shocking from my teacher. Lucas had been murdered during the night. He was found with his head cut off, and his fists had holes from spear punctures. But his head was nowhere to be found. The neighborhood was turned upside down, and the entire police force stood guard day and night, maintaining high alert. Then one day, a police officer was found handcuffed in a police car with his head cut off. But this time, there was a video from the car's dash cam. However, the culprit wasn't in the video. At first, all that could be heard was the sound of 2 people struggling. But then the police officer spoke up. "If you're going to cut off my head, do it one go, so it doesn't hurt. You should really let me go. I won't tell anyone I saw you." After that, a dull sound and a scream blasted out, and a moment later, the back of the perpetrator running away giddily, with the police officer's head stuck on his trident. The police did their best to catch the criminal, but to no avail. There were, however, plenty of rumors circulating. Some people said they saw the criminal's face. Some said they knew who the criminal was. And some even said they were the criminal. but it was all lies. After the police officer's death, the killer was never heard from again. But since then, people in the neighborhood still sleep armed. I still have doubts. Who was the culprit? Why did he take those heads? And what did he do with them?